Hey everyone, Charai5 here, and I just want to clear some things up before we get into the video. Now, as you can see, we're going to be covering the Sonic Arcade games in this one, but unfortunately, we're not really able to tackle all of them. There's no point in playing the arcade versions of Sonic 1 and 2 since they're essentially the same game as the original Genesis counterparts with the addition of the pay-to-play feature. And a lot of the newer arcade games are impossible to get clean footage of at the moment, such as the Olympic arcade games. Others, such as Sonic Athletics and Sonic Ghost Shooting, are only available in Sega's Joypolis facilities over in Asian territories, meaning I can't play those just yet. So don't worry, I know they exist, I didn't forget them, there's just no way for me to sit down and play them easily. Speaking of sitting down, those of you who followed my series where I played every single Sonic game on stream might recall a running gag we started calling my chair Cherry. Now, at the time, Cherry was a gaming chair that my buddy Nathan was lending me during the time I lived with him, and that's the one most people know. When I moved into my own place, I got a new Cherry as an early Christmas gift, but this one was more of an office chair. Still super comfortable, so much so that we had planned on getting a similar one for my girlfriend to have in her office. And that's when eWin Racing approached me to offer one of their gaming chairs. Now, I'd heard of the brand before, and they'd even reached out in the past, but the problem was that I didn't need a chair at the time, and I would have had nowhere else to put an extra one. Now I had an opportunity to shoot two birds with one stone and transfer Cherry 2 to my girlfriend's office. And I want to thank eWin for not only sending me one of their chairs, but for the opportunity to be perfectly honest regarding my experience with it. In our initial conversations, they had me pick out a chair from their promotional lineup, and I had picked out this one, the Flash XL FLB, and I wanted one in blue. And there was unfortunately a bit of a mix-up, and they let me know a day before I got the chair that they had accidentally sent me one meant for another creator, the Champion CPF in red. A little disappointing, but they had assured me that during their next campaign in a few months, they'd make sure to send me the right model at no obligation on my end, which is very nice of them. I'll let you know how that one goes. Now, when it came to the Champion CPF, putting it together itself wasn't difficult at all, but the one thing that made things a little more complicated than maybe they should have been were the instructions. See, they sent a manual with each chair, and the first thing I noticed were that the parts didn't look like the chair I'd received, but the manual assures you that the steps are transferable to every model, meaning that the manual you get isn't specific to the chair you choose, but still useful for putting any model together. And that's only kind of true, because some parts of the chair were already assembled where they wouldn't be in the manual, which made it a bit confusing. Even more confusing was the layout of the manual itself. I ended up using common sense to put the chair together rather than the actual instructions. I was a little worried because I'd felt the seat and the backrest while I was putting it together, and they felt a little firm, which I thought meant the chair was going to be hard to sit in for long periods of time, but once it was actually put together and I sat in it, I was surprised at how comfortable it actually was. A feature that I personally don't see many people use when it comes to their gaming chairs is their leaning, and I wanted to test just how far back I could lean. I did get scared at first because I felt like I was going to tip over and flip the chair, but geez, can this thing lean back far. And for me, because my arms usually rest on my desk when I'm working, I hadn't realized how much armrests factor into comfort. Something they wanted me to talk about was what they call the 4D armrest, and I didn't exactly know what they meant by that until I sat in the chair and realized that the armrest can be rotated inwards for different arm resting positions. Most armrests point forward in the direction of the seat, but I found it a lot more comfortable to rotate them inward and let my natural posture lay on the armrests. And if I ever feel like changing it to another position, I can. I can raise them, lower them, jot them in, out, rotate. It's actually really nice. I've never been huge on back support pillows just because they feel a little uncomfy, but I've been using the ones included with the chair for a few days now, and much like the seat, they're firm but comfortable. I don't even really notice them anymore. And speaking of comfort, one of the things about this chair's design is that it's purposefully wider at the seat without the hip-hugging bits to ensure comfort for different body types. If you're someone who's worried that maybe their weight is too much for a chair to handle, maybe look into an eWin since they support up to 550 pounds. You could put 2 treadmills on this thing and it'd be fine. And if you're interested in getting one for yourself, you can go to ewinracing.com and peruse their catalog. Just be sure to use code CHARI5 for 20% off your purchase. That's code CHA, 2 R's, 3 I's, and a 5 to get 20% off your own Cherry. Thank you again to eWin Racing for supporting the channel. Okay, on with the show. Oh man, this is one of those cases where growing up not knowing about this game really puts things into perspective for you. Sonic went from being a police officer to getting arrested 10 years later. You hate to see it. You know, for an officer of the law, it's really unsafe for you to jump out of a moving vehicle while driving. Why is Sonic in car? He can fast more than vehicle. No, see, it's different because only the music is Green Hill Zone's music, but we're on Spring Street. See, it says so right there. I'm literally using the turbo boost and Eggman is still somehow outspeeding me without one. How are you faster than me? What I want to know is what the hell was Eggman's plan in this game? He was just in a random car on the street with a bunch of bombs inside it, rammed a taxi into oblivion, and then used the bombs against a patrol officer. Why the car? You have the Eggmobile. Why the bombs? Destroy someplace to build Eggman Land, probably? Why ram into the taxi if you have bombs? Just to be a bastard, I guess? Sonic? You kind of let the bad guy get away. Like, yeah, you blew up his car, but that's just supposed to be step one. I doubt the family of Jeremy the taxi driver is going to think that you blowing up the murderer's vehicle is proper justice served. Dude didn't even get a ticket. I was dumbfounded when I saw that I got 3 stars again, because when I recorded this, it's not like it was the first time I'd played this. And for those of you not in the know, Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car was one of those video games that you can play while riding in the actual arcade cabinet. It's one of those rides that moms put their children in to keep them distracted for a minute while they go flirt with a significantly younger convenience store cashier named Tetsuo. As such, the game doesn't ever tell you how it's supposed to be played because the controls and objective are labeled on the arcade cabinet itself. So I had to look up what I had to do in order to get a better score, and you would think, oh, just be a good patrolman. Pass cars in the correct lane, use your blinkers before merging, don't hit cars, respect the speed limit, that's pretty reasonable, and wouldn't it be? Nah, my guy, this is Sonic the Hedgehog, you just fucking go fast. Sure, try not to get hit, but only because getting hit makes you go slow. So long as you get to and defeat Dr. Eggman as quickly as possible, it doesn't matter how many other cars you hit and lives you endanger, it's all about going fast, baby! Which is pretty boosh when you think about it. In an arcade game, you want to maximize your game time as much as possible without having to spend a lot of money, but here the objective is to waste 100 yen as fast as you can. And sure, that's 80 cents in 1991 money, but there's no way you got 5 stars on your first playthrough of this game. Look, I believe in a world where a blue hedgehog can become a policeman with turbo boost in his patrol vehicle with the express purpose of fighting a terrorist with a doctorate by jumping out of his car and ramming into the rotund scientist and then back into his own car only to let him go after we total the guy's 1972 mini outspan. I unfortunately really do. But where I draw the line is crashing into a tank truck and not bursting into flames. Congratulations, kid, you got 5 stars. Here's your prize, a seizure. God damn it, we haven't even gotten into the game and I already have so much to say. For all you younglings that don't even know what a Walkman is, this was a splash screen that appeared when booting up an arcade machine with the FBI seal on it, with the anti-drug slogan "Winners don't use drugs" on it. And starting in 1989 all the way up to the year 2000, by law, all arcade machines in the United States had to have the splash screen on it during a game's demo mode. It was a part of the War on Drugs, a US-led campaign that hasn't been great, started by a guy that wasn't great, featuring a quote by another guy who was so not great that he was fired from his position as FBI director only a few years after this law was introduced. All around, just not a great splash screen, and let's just say that I learned more about the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, former FBI Director William Steele Sessions, and former US President Richard Milhouse Nixon, yes, that was his middle name, than I think I ever wanted to, all because of a stupid popcorn machine. Which, by the way, shouldn't even be on the ROM, because the splash screen was only meant to appear on arcade machines that got imported into the United States, which SegaSonic Popcorn Shop never did. Maybe at some point it was meant to, and so the "Winners don't use drugs" screen was added preemptively, but there's no reason it should be on a Japanese ROM. Could you imagine being a Japanese kid in 1993 who just wants some popcorn from an Aoi Harinezumi, seeing the screen and going, "Oi, kare aji no popcorn kattara taiho sareru no ka?" Dude, I have no idea what you just said, but I'll have whatever Tails is having, because that one tail is vibing like a motherfucker. What is this goofy bastard doing? They can't even have popcorn in peace. Don't you have an amusement park to build or a world to take over? Also, this is so stupid. Either one of them could just get off the treadmill and do things so much more easily. Why do we even have a treadmill for making popcorn? You eventually toss the whole bowl down into the oven anyway. I just noticed this, but is Eggman stealing our popcorn? Bro, just get more kernels! Like, goddamn, there's enough for everyone, you impatient fool! Is this game a creepypasta? I know that people in Japan study words in English, but how common is the phrase, "please ask for assistance"? Can you imagine being a little Japanese kid encountering this screen and going, "Kono popcorn machine ni wa yurei ga deru no?" Oh, god damn it, now I have to learn about the EPA and William Kane Riley, who actually seems like he's a pretty nice dude. But seriously, was this game meant to come out in the States and just didn't? We like Sonic, we like popcorn, we would have eaten this up! Literally!
SegaSonic Cosmo Fighter!
So this is a screen you're met with when you boot up the game for the first time, saying that this game is only for use in Japan and nowhere else. But I guess Sega broke their own copyright law because only 4 years later this game would see a brief release in Australia as part of Sega World Sydney, complete with an English translation. SegaSonic Cosmo Fighter is another one of those car ride games, just like Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car, and again, unless you were in the thing, this just seems like a cool intro screen when, in reality, it's telling you what different weapons you can use, but doesn't tell you what button to press to change to that weapon. I play this one so many times because I didn't even know that I had more than the one. If I were to ask you who the first ever English voice for Sonic the Hedgehog was, chances are you'd say Jaleel White, and you'd be right, but that was only in the 90s animated shows. If I were to ask you who his first actor was in the games, you'd probably say Ryan Drummond, but you'd be wrong, because the first actor to play Sonic in English was Megan Glima in Sonic Schoolhouse, and don't worry, I have plans for that one. And if I were to ask you who Sonic's second English voice actor in the games was, you'd probably be sure that it was Ryan Drummond. And up until 2023, you would have been right, but a Sega World Sydney cabinet was recovered by a user going by I Am Amazing 100 who dumped their version of the ROM, which was completely translated in English, down to the voice acting, and you would not believe what Sonic sounds like in this game. We went from this,
I'm Sonic,
to this.
Hi, my name is Sonic.
Make it make sense. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear Robotnik's voice in this game.
There you are, Sonic. If you want to rescue your friends, you'll have to down me first.
It's like the director cast the two actors and then forgot who was supposed to voice who. God damn it, it's just Galaga. And again, we have a rating system that we can't understand unless we're physically in the cabinet. At least this time we can see that some of the ranking stars come out of the enemies we fight, but I don't think that's enough. Again, I think you need to destroy everything, don't get hit because you lose your speed, and do all that really fast, which includes changing weapon modes, using your speed boost, following Eggman the whole time, and it's not hard to do. I just wish I didn't have to Google how to do something so simple. Wait, Sonic Station? There's a whole ass space station to his name? And hold on, the whole premise of this game is that Eggman's trying to capture the critters in the space station, but we fight his robots on the way there, right? If he already has robots that aren't powered by critters, why do you need the critters? It just seems like a lot of hassle for something you could do back on Earth. And another thing, where's the Space Colony Ark? Is it on the other side of the planet?
Well, we'll see you again. Thank you.
This is a really weird one, but the bottom right-hand corner has a copyright year of 1992, but this game didn't come out until the latter half of 1993. I'm guessing it was because it was developed in 92, but you knew when this game released. You couldn't just change the number? And if the copyright year is when the term SegaSonic was filed, what, is it just not valid in 93 anymore? I swore up and down that something must have been wrong with my
totally legal SegaSonic arcade machine,
because there's no music playing on the title screen or the character select, but apparently, no, that's just how it is. Hold up, you're telling me that whatever this massive robot prison you've created is faster than Sonic, can imprison him, and you never bothered to improve its design? You already had the speed down! We interrupt SegaSonic the Hedgehog to bring the escape scene from the first Shrek movie. This map of Eggman Island just makes no sense. We start on Volcanic Vault, move on to Icy Isle, then detour to the side to Desert Dodge, go backward into Trap Tower, onto Landslide Limbo, which is already next to Icy Isle, into Wild Waterway, and then finally to Eggman Tower, even though Landslide Limbo was already next to Eggman Tower. Speaking of Desert Dodge, this level's a perfect example of why playing this game on a
totally legal SegaSonic arcade machine
is so difficult, because you're meant to play it on a trackball, and even when using a modern-day controller, the movement was so sensitive. This is by no means a difficult game, but it can be supremely frustrating to be running into things left and right because the level is catered to a very unique control scheme. And I guess that's technically not the game's fault, but it's the only way to play this game accessibly at the moment. Whoa, hold on, I just noticed this. Sega is a display manufacturer? Like, they make monitors and TVs and stuff in this world? Weren't they the ones who printed out the Sonic and Shadow photo in the president's office? Is it like a Mars situation where they make M&Ms but also make pedigree dog food? Fighting whatever this thing is so scuffed because of the isometric view not really letting me see what I'm doing, leading me to getting hit over and over, and the sensitive control scheme leading me to run into things that hurt me that I can't really avoid. Wild Waterway is so slow. And despite that, you then have to carefully platform quickly during this waterfall section, which, again, really hard to do when your controls are more sensitive than a broken tooth chomping on an ice cube. And I'm glad I'm talking about this level because I saw the clear screen which reads Wild Water Ways and thought I had to change the name of the level in the rest of the script, only to realize that this is the only place in the game and official media where it has the extra S at the end. You know what's absolute boosh about this level? Hell, not just this level, but it extends to the game. Once you reach Eggman, he initiates a countdown sequence and then runs away, and if you don't reach the end of the stage, it's game over for you. It doesn't matter how many continues you spent money on, if you do not reach the door before the countdown finishes, you cannot, and let me make it perfectly clear, cannot beat this game. You could have performed amazingly, not died a single time, but if you mess this last part up, you lose the entire game and need to play it all over again. And getting there is a pain. Or at least it was for me, given my setup, because you basically need to be running the entire time or you won't make it. And I'm sure that it's no easier when using a trackball. You probably have to spin that shit like you're a DJ at a rap battle. Something I love about Mighty and Ray is that they each get their own set of wonderful animations to represent their personalities as distinct from each other in Sonic, but functionally they're the exact same characters. In a way, that's not a bad thing because the controls in this game, though sensitive, are pretty simple. You move and you jump. There's really no advantage using one character over the other, and I think that may have been for the sake of this game's multiplayer mode, so that all players could be on equal ground. For a single-player experience, though, really the only thing you get out of it is being able to see the cool new animations, but the gameplay loop is the same. And I wonder if that was done deliberately because adding tails would have made people wonder why he doesn't just fly? Mighty's a character that predates Knuckles, but he's also very Sonic-like in his playable appearances, so that makes sense, but it's just strange that Sonic's two best friends are a younger yellow dude that can fly and a very strong red dude, and in this game his friends are a younger yellow dude that can fly and a very strong red dude. What? Why? Why did the Eggmobile just fall? What the hell is this thing? So I guess originally there was going to be an alternate form of Metal Sonic called Mecha Sonic Model Number 29, or Rocket Metal for short. His files are in the game, but he's not playable in any form unless you hack the game, but that being the case, why is he here in the opening cutscene? Rocket Metal has nothing to do with the story, and you never fight him, so why is he being featured here? You could have replaced him with just base Metal Sonic, and no one would have had to know you scrapped this character. That's just a map of the Earth, but upside down. Is this what you all think is Mobius? Just Earth, but upside down? Dr. Robotonic.
Yes, Dr. Robotonic.
8 emeralds? But I thought there were only 7 of them. Unless they're talking about the Master Emerald, which I doubt, and unless they're talking about the Emerald Elise has in 06, but guess what? Even if you went through the mental gymnastics to canonize that stupid shit, Elise would still have that one! God damn it with these Emerald inconsistencies. First we had blue, green, yellow, red, pink, and white. Then they added the purple one. Then they replaced pink with cyan. And then here, not only did they change the cyan one back to pink, they changed the white one to a violet one, and then added an orange one for the fuck of it. What are the rules, damn you? Nah, see, it's different, because it's named after the place where it's located and the music isn't the same. That is not how you spell polar bear. Wait, Mushroom Hill? From Angel Island? Why is this not where I would fight Knuckles? Why is Espio here? What's going on? Okay, this is where things start to get a little confusing. As an arcade game, it stands to reason that this title doesn't have a manual to go with it that details the story or anything like that, but we do have a source that goes into what's happening in this game. In Japan, there was a magazine called Gamest, and as far as I could tell, it served primarily as a newsletter that covered arcade games specifically. So they did a feature for Sonic the Fighters, which explains that Tails finds out through SBO that Eggman was sending out robo-eggs from his new Death Egg 2 to conquer parts of the world, so Tails built a rocket called the Lunar Fox for someone to go up there and stop him. There are two problems, however. For one, the Lunar Fox can only sit one person, and the other is that it requires all 8 Chaos Emeralds to work, which are all guarded by Sonic's friends, except for one of them that was stolen by Fang. Who failed to protect that Chaos Emerald? I don't know, we never find out. But the reason we're fighting, or that at least we fought Knuckles, is that he believed he should be the one to go fight Eggman because he believed himself to be the strongest fighter amongst them. So he and Sonic duke it out, and Tails gets between them, instead suggesting that a tournament should be held to determine who the strongest fighter is. Your standard fighting game story. But we don't have time for this! Aside from Fang, and I guess the other two new guys, the synopsis doesn't really say that they're bad guys, you're all supposed to be friends! What I don't understand here is why Tails decided to be a part of the tournament himself. If they knew each other was guarding a Chaos Emerald, why bother fighting each other? Why wouldn't Tails just give Sonic his emerald? Fang in particular is annoying to fight because he's one of the only characters in this game to have a ranged attack, and it does significant damage. If I had a nickel for every green bird there was in the Sonic games, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it is particularly weird that it's happened 3 times now. Oh, get a load of this bullshit! On the round where you would fight the character you're playing as, Eggman comes in to make a clone of you to fight, which is, I guess, a cool way of going about that, but do they have a Chaos Emerald? Am I just earning the Chaos Emerald my character already had? Why? I already had it! Oh my god, welcome to the absolute worst fight in this game. Metal Sonic is such a cheater. He has long-range attacks that you couldn't dream of predicting, hits like 2 tons of bricks, and given the opportunity will not let you breathe. And Jesus Christ, his attack where he grabs you and carries you into the air to drop you does so much damage. This one isn't fun at all, it's just stressful. And you want to know what's worse? Because of the fact that the emeralds give you an automatic hyper mode for the fight against Eggman, I had no idea Super Sonic was in this game until I captured the footage for this video and looked up how to unlock him. I unfortunately misunderstood when I read that I had to play as Sonic and reach the second half of the Metal Sonic fight without losing any of the previous rounds. When I read rounds, I figured they just meant fights, so imagine my surprise when I played through the game all over again, reached the second half of the Metal Sonic fight, and there's no Super Sonic. When they said latter half, they meant second round of the Metal Sonic fight, meaning that I couldn't just not lose a fight up until this point, I couldn't lose anything up to this point, period, including the first round against Metal Sonic, which is hard enough on its own, but then having to deal with Fang, Bark, and Bean without losing a round? Give me a break! Did you guys know that technically Honey the Cat is the first persona in the series? Yeah, she's just the Sonic OC version of another video game character, Honey, from Sega's Fighting Vipers, called Candy here in the West. Of all things I've said throughout this series, official Sonic persona was not on my Everything Wrong with Sonic the Hedgehog bingo card. Also, I love how they were able to finish this character and make her fully implemented in the 2012 port alongside Eggman and Metal Sonic, but you couldn't fix Robotonic in the opening cinematic? I just thought about this too. If there's a self-destruct sequence that I would imagine that Eggman himself activated, why on earth would he come out here to fight us? The countdown's not very long as it is. You're risking a hell of a lot just to try and defeat us. Hey everyone, Charai5 here. Thanks so much for watching my CINEMASINS pastiche of everything wrong with these Sonic arcade games. I never thought that I was actually going to get around to covering these. I'm really glad that I did, especially because, you know, some of you might not have heard of these or seen these in action, especially with like new developments such as the English translation version of SegaSonic Cosmo Fighter. I think it's the perfect time. And with Sonic Superstars being announced recently, it's the perfect time for this to come out. Have you guys heard of any of these? Have you guys played any of these? I guess that's the question of the video. I got a little ahead of myself. Thank you to the patrons whose names you're seeing on screen right now, as well as my channel members. If you want to be featured alongside these wonderful people, if you want to get these videos a little early, you can do so by hitting the link in the description, hitting that join button underneath the video. Any little bit helps. I appreciate it. I thank my patrons and my supporters so very much, as always. But But yeah, I I appreciate you watching, even if that's all you do. You know, hit that like button, subscribe, tell people if you think that they might find this video funny or interesting or what have you. Any little bit helps, as always. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, take care of yourselves and each other. Stay safe, stay awesome. This is Char5, signing off.